Welcome back, everyone. As we keep going with this deep dive into influence, I keep finding myself thinking about how closely it's tied to our own creative power.
It really is a fascinating link, yeah.
It's like a cycle. We make tools, technology, even ideas, and those creations end up shaping the world around us, influencing others for better or worse.
Like, think of the printing press. Revolutionized how we share knowledge, help people learn to read.
Huge impact.
But then that same tool's been used to spread lies and propaganda, too.
Whoa, yeah. It's kind of scary to think about.
It shows how even our best inventions can be used in ways we didn't intend.
That's a really sobering thought. It's like we have this responsibility to not just create, but to think about what our creation might lead to.
Exactly. And that responsibility, it's also about how we take in information and how we interact with what others create.
Right.
Think about how many messages we're hit with every single day. News, social media, ads.
It's overwhelming.
It is. It's this constant fight for our attention. And in all that, there are these sneaky influences at work shaping what we believe without us even realizing it.
Ugh, it feels impossible to sift through it all sometimes. How do we even start to navigate that? Like, how do we know what's good, what's bad, what's true?
That's where critical thinking is key. We've got to question what we're told, think about who's saying it, look for bias, get different perspectives. We can't just absorb everything that comes our way.
So it's like becoming an information detective.
Huh. I like that.
We gotta gather clues, weigh the facts, make our own judgments.
Exactly. And just like a detective, we got to be aware of our own biases, our assumptions.
Oh, wow.
We all come to things with beliefs and experiences that color how we see the world. The trick is to know what those biases are and be willing to challenge them.
Be open to new info, even if it goes against what we think we know.
Exactly. And to admit when we're wrong.
Yeah.
We all mess up. We all fall for bad information sometimes.
Yeah.
But we can learn from it and be more careful next time.
Totally. It's not about being perfect. It's about being willing to learn and grow.
Right. And that growth often means finding guidance, wisdom from others, recognizing we don't have all the answers. There's value in learning from people with different experiences, different views.
That makes sense. And it brings us back to that idea from the text, seek God. But for someone who isn't religious, what does that even look like?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
How do you seek something you might not even believe in? And the great thing is, there's no one answer.
Yeah.
Seeking God doesn't have to be literal. It can be a way of saying, look for truth, for wisdom, for some higher purpose, whatever that means to you.
So it's about connecting to something bigger than yourself, whether that's a spiritual thing, a set of values, a cause you're passionate about, even just appreciating nature and how everything's connected.
Exactly. Recognizing that we're not just individuals floating around in chaos. We're part of something larger. And looking for that connection, however you do it, can give you meaning, guidance, a sense of belonging.
I love that. It's like finding your place in the grand scheme of things. And in that scheme, there are all these threads of influence woven together. Our choices, what we do, what we create, it all adds to the bigger picture.
Well said. And the more we're aware of those influences, the more we can choose which threads we want to weave into our lives and the lives of those around us.
It's powerful, right? We have this ability to shape our own future and influence the world through what we create and the choices we make.
Absolutely. But that power comes with responsibility, too. We have to consider how our words and actions affect others and make choices that are good, choices that line up with what we believe.
Right. It's a balance, for sure.
It is. But the more we understand the influences, both inside and out, the more we can tip the scales towards creating a world that's better. A world where we support each other, inspire each other, and work together to solve problems.
That's a great goal to strive for. Like, we're all in this cosmic experiment together, each with a unique role to play.
And the more we get it, the better we can play our part.
This whole idea of influence is really complex.
It is.
It's not just who or what's influencing us. It's about how all these forces work together, inside and out, to shape our thoughts, our beliefs, what we do, and realizing that we have the power to influence others too, for good or bad.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but it's empowering too, right? Because once we understand how it all works, we can make better choices.
Yeah.
We can be more deliberate about what influences we let in and what impact we have on the world.
Couldn't agree more.
It's inspiring, for sure. It's given me a lot to think about, especially for my own work and the messages I put out there.
I bet.
This has been such a great conversation. But before we wrap up part 2, I want to go back to that idea of seeking God. We've talked about it, but what does that actually look like? What can someone do to make that connection, to tap into that wisdom?
Excellent questions. And that's exactly what we'll get into for the final part of our deep dive. We'll explore different ways to seek truth and meaning, both in traditional religious ways and outside of them. We'll look at practical things anyone can do to connect with something bigger than themselves, no matter their background or beliefs.
Can't wait. And to our listeners, thanks for sticking with us on this deep dive so far. We hope it's given you some new things to think about and inspired you to keep searching for understanding.